Hey everybody, Stefan here, sitting in 4Sound in Malmö, Sweden, together with Charlie Sexton, dialing in one heck of a delay tone.
Well, it's funny because...
I think so.
Well, okay, I'm going to gush for a moment. Years and years and years ago, on my very first tour of Europe, on my first record, 1986, that led, we had the original TC boxes, which were like amazing. Mm-hmm. At that point, I think they made 2 boxes for the most part that we knew about. Well, they made more than that. They made a boost distortion.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's really good.
Built like a tank. Great tone. I know they had, I guess, the tremolo, the modulation one.
The CF, the chorus flanger?
Yeah, which actually I have a modified one now that has a modification a friend did to make sort of Leslie parameters and go put a brake on, fast and slow.
Cool.
That's awesome. Anyway, I've been a believer and a big fan of TC. That led to me receiving a 2290, which is my favorite delay ever. Ever. And so the setting we worked on is based on the 2290 setting, which lived in my rack. Back in those days, kids, we had racks. And
now we have tiny sound boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Do the same things.
Yes, exactly. And my dear friend Ed, who was worked with TC in America, I tortured him over my love and want of continuation of the 2290, which became impossible. So I must thank you for creating those sounds in the Nova delay, which I have on my board always, and in the FlashBack. It's really a big part. And I really think the company was based around, that's you know, it's funny how it started off with little pedals. They released this amazing delay that did so many cool things.
Yeah, it was really ahead of its time.
Way ahead of its time between the dynamic, dampening of when you go out of time with a delay, which becomes an issue. And even as I mentioned to you too, I would use that. I would use it in mono sometimes, and I would use the panning effect to create preset tremolo settings. TC is one of those companies that have started off making quality and awesome products and gotten better and better and better and better. Oh, by the way, I just said earlier today, there should be an award given for that. That alone. Thank you. Whoever did that, you're my hero.
We'll make sure to pass it on.
No, for real. This is like, you know how crazy it is to sit here and take 4 screws out if you want to put a battery in? No fun. No. This is awesome. Yeah, and it's universal or international. I mean, you can use a peso. You can use a
Danish
quarter,
kroners.
a kroner. Yeah, I'm sure there's a euro somewhere that'll work. But we'll just say the crown.
It doesn't discriminate.
No, it's fabulous. So anyway, we've created a delay sound, which is basically maybe the timing is a little different than the original recorded version, but I was in a band called the Archangels, and we had a song called Too Many Ways to Fall, which was basically this setting. And it's great. It's really when I got deep into the 2290 and using all the wonderful things that it could do. Yeah. And so the cool thing about it, and I obviously have to give credit to Mr. Edge because it is a triplet sort of style delay that you play rhythmically against it. But it was kind of a combination where going between hard rhythm, opening it up with chordal stuff, and it even predates Edge a little bit, even because Gilmore does a lot of that too, So I invented nothing, but I definitely took some, ideas from there. So the song basically, and the wonderful thing about the delays itself too is that it is really dynamic friendly. Yeah. So you could, the song would start off like, horrible version of what you can do, but then you can let it ring out, you know.
Yeah, the slight dampening that we programmed really just helps it sit really well in the mix. Just creates this bed of ambience behind your notes. It never gets in the way.
And that's the cool thing about the TonePrint is that you can actually get in there and do little specific things, even a little more so than you could on the original. So that's awesome. But
yeah, and if we're gonna get totally specific, you know, what we have here is a digital delay, a 2290 delay, but with a bit of high cut to
exactly
get some of those really, you know, maybe a bit pesky high frequencies out of the way.
Because I mean, I think that's you know, and once again, the FlashBack, you can get this basically this size thing with the Alter Ego, which once that came around, that's immediately went on the board.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites as well.
And it immediately, you know, it was on the board, which means it ends up on a boat or going all over the world on a tour when I'm not at home. So
you can't play it.
I need one now. So there's another one at home, and it's awesome. And the reason I bring it up is that doesn't always happen, that a company will offer something that's clean and like just tonally pristine, and but also the tone of the 2290. That's the thing that was like unbelievable. And once it came out of the rack on the road, it went into the studio, and we've used it on drums, we used it on keyboards, and
That's really cool.
in record projects. And keyboards are, you know, sometimes not a lot of fun.
Delay makes everything fun.
Well, the interesting thing about using it on drums was, and not exclusive to the drums, but it does work on the drums, the repeats that come back sound as good as the source you're sending into it, but it even actually comes back sweeter sounding. And that's what led me to the keyboard thing, because my engineer is also a guitar player and we work on projects. I hipped him to it, you know, because I brought it to the studio one day and I go, you got to hear this thing. And he's like, oh my God. And so he went online and he found one and he bought one. And then a year later, he was working on something and he said, you know, I was doing a keyboard part in this recording. It sounded just horrible, it drove me crazy. I just put it through the 2290 and all of a sudden it sounded great. And on that song, I was basically the rhythm guitar player, the click track, all of it, you know, and I just kept it driving along.
It sounds amazing.
Good.
I need to try this out of, you know, instantly when I get home. So thank you so much for making such a cool delay tone print.
Hey.
And thanks for taking the time to do this.
Thank you for making such a great delay tone. Right back at you.